Hi everyone, I'm chatting to Jacquie McIntyre, who's going to be coming to South Africa in August to teach BodyTalk Access for animals. We are so excited to have you in our beautiful country, and it's been such a long time since we actually had BodyTalk Access for animals in South Africa. So I just wanted to ask a couple of questions of Jacquie to just kind of give you guys some insight of what this amazing course is all about. Hi Jacquie, how are you doing?
I'm awesome, Christine. Thank you.
Are you looking forward to coming to our beautiful country?
I'm really excited, and I did have an inkling that it had been a long time since one of the animal courses had been over there. So I'm really glad to be coming back and doing that for everyone.
And we're so excited to have you. Jacquie, can you give me a little bit more of an insight about this course for our students?
So the BodyTalk Access for Animals course is actually now a combination course. So we teach both the animal component and the people component of the Access program, which means that we have 6 big, beautiful techniques that we're going to be sharing with people so that people can learn how to do these techniques for their animals and for themselves, for the family as well, or the friends. And the whole idea was that when the Access for People's course was actually developed, it was developed primarily to be able to teach people who didn't have access to healthcare, or maybe healthcare was actually too expensive for them and they couldn't afford it. So a lot of people in different areas of the world really suffering and having to try and deal with health challenges and behaviour issues all on their own. So Access identified 5 really powerful techniques in the BodyTalk system. And as a lot of you will know, the BodyTalk system is not only amazing, but it's gigantic as well. So it takes 5 really powerful techniques and it wrapped it together in this beautiful package where trainers could go and take it anywhere in the world and teach people how to be able to do it. And it's so impactful and so profound that it was making immediate changes to people's lives, to the quality of their health, to the value of their well-being. They were just feeling wonderful. And people started to ask, well, can I do this on my animals? And so a lot of time was really taken to develop the animal part of Access program, because animals, even though we love them so much, they actually work pretty differently to us, especially their nervous system, the way that they switch between sympathetic and parasympathetic state, which is kind of, either being in fight, flight, freeze mode or being in calm, relaxed mode. They use that and it's set up within them really differently to us. So there is quite a bit of difference in the techniques that we teach that you are just going to do for people only. And then there's going to be different techniques that we teach where you'll just apply it to animals only. But what we've been able to do is combine it and put it into one great big package that you're going to be able to do really easily, no matter where you are, no matter what environment you're going into, no matter what stressors are happening, you're going to be able to implement it in any way. And they started to then teach the BodyTalk Access program around the world, and the feedback that was coming back was outstanding, because the animals were actually healing faster than what the people were.
Wow.
And so what we know about animals is that they just have far less resistance to getting well. They innately just want to be so well and so at ease and so in balance. And we as humans, we tend to have more belief systems and more attachments and kind of like hidden stuff that can sit underneath the surface and sabotage us a little bit. So the response to doing Access for Animals was just off the charts spectacular. And what we were finding when I was teaching an Access for Animals class is that people were wanting to take these techniques and do them on themselves, but they were missing a couple of key components out of the human program. So we decided to merge both classes together. So now people get the best from both classes. They learn all the components around the people aspect, they learn all the components around the animal aspect, and there's a lot to teach around the animal aspect, but they get the both the best worlds right in the one class.
That's amazing. It really is, because the normal access is just a one-day class. I mean, this is a two-day workshop over a weekend, and now they've got everything, so they can work with both humans and with animals. And I just think that's just so exciting. And you're saying that they're having phenomenal results in all the other classes all around the world. So we really can't wait to have it in South Africa.
Yeah.
Do you have any memories that stand out for you when you talk about amazing responses that stand out for you about, that have happened in class?
Yeah, I actually have so many, and that's actually one of the things that I love about doing live classes when everyone's there, is that naturally stories are just going to kind of come up as we're going through teaching the class. So I'll be able to share tons and tons of my own experiences and experiences that other people have had in class. Two that I can remember. The first one was involving a dog. So there's 6 techniques that people are going to learn. You do them in a very specific order. There's one technique in particular, the first one, called courtesies, that people can do just as a standalone technique. That's fantastic for an enormous amount of things that I'll take you through. All the other techniques are designed to be done in order. You don't take them out and pluck them out and do them on their own. So what had happened was we had been going through and teaching all the students these techniques, and they would pair off and they would do them on one another, and they would do them on their animals as well. And there was this one dog that was in class that looked real scruffy, had a really ordinary coat, just wasn't very shiny, it was dull, but it would stand up and be quite prickly. And also the animal was edgy, not nervous, but almost uncomfortable, where it just couldn't sit still peacefully. So it would get up, it would get down, it would move itself around. And I just noticed this all day. And the owner took the dog home at night and then came back the next morning. And she was so excited, because one of the techniques that we'd finished off, it was the last one that we'd finished off for the day, and it's called body chemistry. And body chemistry does a whole bunch of stuff. It's one of my most favorite techniques ever. But one of the things that it does really effectively is it addresses microbes, especially the microbes that is not meant to be naturally within the body. So it compromises health, it compromises the animal's experience or the human experience. And so they'd had a chance to really try out learning this body chemistry technique a few times on this dog. And what had happened is that she said that he went home and he drank water all night. She said as soon as she could put a bowl of water out, he would just drink it, to the point where she was thinking something's wrong because he's drinking so much water. And the next morning he was begging to be let out and go to the toilet. And so she went out with him to go to the toilet, and he passed a 1 meter tapeworm.
What?
1 meter tapeworm. So
Jeez.
yeah, it's pretty extraordinary, right?
Wow.
So what was interesting was that she'd been really diligent on doing worming treatments for the dog. But what we know is that they become really immune to them. A lot of them don't work. They compromise the natural microbes that the animal's meant to have, and they sometimes are just really, really ineffective to the other ones. So that was really, really interesting. But I noticed a huge difference in his behaviour on the second day of class. He came in, he was instantly just more settled. He was more connected to the rest of the animals in the class, so bonded very, very quickly. He was far more peaceful, but his coat had become soft and was all laying down in the one direction. Oh. So it had gone from being really fuzzy and wiry to soft and beautiful. So that was one example. There was another story that I was going to give you. Let me see if I can remember which one. I actually have done a lot of work for different zoos all over the world from time to time, not only doing access for the animals, but also doing body talk sessions as well. And sometimes when an animal is going through something and I've been contacted and they say, Jacquie, the animal's not very well, can you see if you can do a body talk session? Sometimes a body talk session is not the priority, just the access program is, because it's so effective. And I remember I was actually asked to do a body talk treatment on a lemur. And the lemur had actually been placed on Prozac because he was depressed and they were really worried about the lemur. So kind of just sat in my clinic office and sat to do a session, and just the simple access program was just all he needed. He'd gone, you know, he'd been taken out of his matrix that he was in at a particular zoo. He'd been relocated as the main kind of patriarch of this new matrix that he'd been put into. He'd been shifted to a totally different country. It's like he was just all out of sync. He was all out of whack. He had no idea where he was. He didn't know why he was there. He's kind of disassociated from his old family and put with a new one, and he was just all out of whack. So did access for him. Took me a total of about 10 minutes, and I let them know that I would do access the next day. So I did access 3 days in a row, and they reported that his response was so outstanding that they started weaning him off Prozac immediately. And I think they had him completely weaned off in about a week, because he just brightened up and he was communicating with the rest of his pack, and it was just beautiful. So to be able to learn, and this is what everyone's going to learn, you can sit there with your animal right in front of you, or a person right in front of you, and do the access techniques. And there's lots of different ways that you can do that. You can, if it's for a person, you can do the techniques straight onto them. If it's with animals, we don't do the techniques hands-on with the animals, and I'm going to explain why, but it's very, very important. When you come and do class, I'll explain why. But I give you lots of different options and ways that you can do the techniques, either using yourself as a surrogate for them, highly, highly effective, using somebody else as a surrogate for them, or you can use a focusing tool such as a teddy bear and do the techniques on the teddy bear for them. Again, highly, highly effective. So you can do that regardless of whether the person or the animal is right there in front of you, or whether you're here and they're in a completely different country. The distance doesn't matter. So I'll teach you short distance and also long distance, and how to do that in a lot of different ways. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Wow, that's incredible. And so it's a 2-day event. So we're going to be doing all the techniques on the one day and then practicing on the second day, or how's it going to work?
Well, there's actually, because of the, as you said earlier, the course, which is designed to just be access for people, is a 1-day course. And even then, I think a lot of trainers kind of teach it on a little bit of a shorter day. It's not a massively long day class. However, the animal component, there is a lot of information in there. We talk a lot about creating a safe space. I teach you about calming signals, about warning signals, about being able to shift senses, shifting and releasing that either the animal is going through or you're going through. I teach you how to observe that through your 5 senses. So intuitively, what that could look like. We actually look a little bit at what the consciousness for our main domesticated animals are. So a cat, a dog, and a horse. What was originally done, because it's such a huge class, is that we used to teach it on a full day and an evening. And we were really, really restricted on how many demonstration body talk sessions that we could do and how much time we had for questions. Well, I'm a questions gal. I love questions. I mean, I've spent my whole body talk career asking questions, because I just need to be able to understand how something works to be able to integrate it. And I know a lot of people are like that. And the other thing is that I wanted to be able to do sessions, as many demonstration sessions as I could, because I recognize that we don't just have people who are already familiar with body talk coming into this class. More and more over the past few years, we get people that come to class that have never even had a body talk session. They've been familiar with the system. So I think it's really important to like open up and expand beyond the Access program and give people an insight into just the sheer magnitude of what the BodyTalk system is. So I try and do BodyTalk sessions as well, one on a person and usually one on an animal that's already in class. So that's why it stretches out to be a 2-day class, and it is a full 2-day class.
And we bring our animals on the second day.
On the second day, yes.
Okay.
Yep. So on
and
the first day, on the first day, sorry, I didn't finish answering your question. On the first day, it's nearly all this PowerPoint presentation I must take you through. So where you start to learn all the beautiful techniques, I start to introduce you to them. We get a really good understanding on what is BodyTalk, what is the philosophy behind it, what is the innate wisdom, how does that all work? And then we start going into these concepts of how we would use the Access program in relation to animals specifically, because it's quite a big area. So most of that is on the first day. We start to introduce the techniques, get to learn them. We'll do some prac work, so you get to do them on yourselves, buddy up with a friend, do them on them as well. And then the second day, at the start, we'll do a little bit of a recap, answer any questions, and then we'll go in to learn the last probably 1 or 2 techniques really, really well. And then we do a lot of practice, and I'll take everyone through how to be able to implement the techniques in a lot of different ways, so that by the time they leave, they feel really, really confident in what they're doing. And it's just a matter of practice to get it all down pat.
Sounds amazing. Can you share with us those 6 techniques? What are they called?
So the first one is called cortices. The second one is called switching. The third one is called SB, and it stands for spheno-basilar junction. The next one is hydration. The one after that is called body chemistry, which I mentioned before. And the last one is reciprocals. So to give you do you mind if I give you a super brief overview of every single one?
Sure, that'd be great.
Yeah, because I think it's important to be able to sink your teeth into it so you know what you're going to be experiencing. Cortices basically primarily focuses on the head brain of the person or the animal, and allows the brain to be able to coordinate the communication that runs between both hemispheres of the brain. So rather than typically the brain functioning as just one hemisphere of brain, which primarily a lot of people, even our domesticated animals, are really heavily structured to just functioning off one hemisphere of the brain, we're trying to achieve more of a whole-brained functioning approach by doing the cortices technique. It also really improves a lot of the issues that could be as a result of circulation, whether it be blood supply or anything like that. And we're also going to talk a lot about these cold spots that show up on the outer cortex layer of the brain, and how those cold spots actually can relate to imbalance that's going on in the body of some kind, whether it be disease or anything like that. Whenever we do cortices, we're bringing a lot of attention and focus to those cold spots. In effect, we can run healing processes on them at the same time. The switching technique is the one that's actually designed to be done on people only, and that specifically deals with the stress threshold levels within the person. Sometimes people have stress threshold levels that are actually too low. Sometimes people have them and they're way too high. But what it will do is it will have somebody wired in a way that they can get stressed very, very easily, or they can actually it's almost like endure too much stress for a prolonged period of time, which is really not good for them either, because it sets up its own health issues as well. So this technique is just designed to, I want to say, normalize what would be the best stress threshold level for that individual person. Because everyone's different, right? So it's about finding the one that's right for you. And then it allows your entire body-mind complex to be able to deal and process life a lot more effectively without triggering off and getting stressed all the time, okay? And we talk in class about some of the environmental factors that can be causing that switching reflex that happens, and the way that it can show up for you in either physical things or things that you're trying to do in life, such as, you know, read a book. You might read the same paragraph over and over again, not really understanding what you're reading. I've definitely done that before. So when I'm doing that, I know that I've switched and I've got that technique that I can do, and it recalibrates the brain and the nervous system.
Okay.
The next technique is called SB, and this is the one that's specifically designed for animals, and it addresses the sphenobasillar junction that runs through the center of the brain there. So the SB junction is kind of like a meeting point of all these jigsaw puzzle pieces deep inside the brain. It's like a junction. And what this SB junction is meant to do, literally, is expand and contract as the lungs and the respiratory system does the same, expands and contracts. Quite often what happens is that SB junction becomes jammed. And when it does that, it can compromise certain structures within the brain. It can actually compromise the whole respiratory system, the function of the lungs, the diaphragms, the digestive system. It will pretty much affect nearly every single organ, system, hormone producing gland in the body. It's quite devastating. Some of the most common things though is behavior issues. Animals that are real flighty have codependency issues. They can't be left alone. Depression is a huge thing. So just as you and I, anyone can experience depression, animals can do. Really legitimate, you know, darkness to the depth of their bones, depression. And sometimes that can be the result directly of a jammed SB. So I take you through some of the reasons why that can be jammed. There's a difference to if it's in a jammed up position to if it's in a jammed down position, the way that it can affect the animal. So we go through that, teach you how to do that technique. The hydration technique is all about making the cell membrane more permeable to water. So quite often for people and animals, the water is just effectively running over the top of the cell membrane, but it's not actually being absorbed. And that can lead to an enormous amount of health issues, behavior issues, dysfunctioning between the brains. So that's a really, really big one. The next one is body chemistry. And as I said, it's one of my most favorite ones.
Me too.
Yeah, I'll just love it to pieces because it's like really kick-ass, and it's so responsive. The body just responds to it so beautifully and quite often so instantly, right? Now, this will address microbes. We have good microbes. We have lots and lots of good microbes. But we also have some microbes that are maybe not so great. They hang out in areas where they're not meant to. They cause problems. So this technique is designed to be able to address both, make sure that the ones that they're meant to have or you're meant to have are healthy, that they're supported, that they are in the right numbers, or that the body has the ability to be able to resource them, and also to be able to kick out and find the ones that they're not meant to have. Body chemistry also, it's a really big technique because it has the ability to be able to tune into and be able to understand very, very well what's going on with maybe intolerances or allergies, to be able to identify any toxins in the body, things like that. So it's a big one. We dedicate a bit of time to that, really exploring it. It's got a cool technique that we do. And I teach you the BodyTalk way, and I also teach you the Aussie way to do it. Yeah. We just spit in our belly buttons over here to do that. And then the last set of techniques is called reciprocals, and reciprocals is pretty phenomenal because, again, of the impact that it has on the entire body-mind complex from a physical functioning perspective, also right through to a lot of the energy systems that maybe people are not aware about. I'll introduce you to a little bit about those and we'll talk about those. So reciprocals are either found, they're like circuit breakers. We either find them at opposite sides of the body or at opposite ends of the body. And sometimes what happens is that there'll be some compromise or there'll be some distortion in the communication that runs between these two reciprocal points. So it literally like blows those circuit breakers, and you can get issues anywhere between those 2 points because it involves the meridian system. It involves the Wei Qi, which is one of the fastest communication systems that the body has. So it can cause massive compromise from that area, but it also can cause compromise in the reciprocal points themselves. And that can make them more prone to damage, to injury, to weakness, to just feeling sore and not being right. And for people, when we're teaching access, there are 17 reciprocals. So we do spend a little bit of time learning this and going through doing it, because when you first look at it, you can go, oh, all these reciprocals, oh my gosh. But once you start to go through them one by one, and we all do it together as a class, and you've got your beautiful manuals that you get as well that has all the hand placements in there and shows you the order of them as well.
Fantastic.
Super, super easy. But for animals, there's an extra reciprocal. There's an 18th one. So I'll teach you that one as well.
Ah,
Yep.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it sounds very, very comprehensive. I personally cannot wait. I have to play tic-tac with which animal I'm going to be bringing with, because I've got two beautiful doggies. I'm going to have to choose and see who's going to be the best behaved. But I cannot wait to have you in South Africa teaching this incredible course. For people wanting to register and book, we've still got the early bird special for the month up until the month before. And to register for the course, they go to www.bodytalksystem.com and click on courses in South Africa, and you'll see it right there with Jacquie, BodyTalk Access for Animals and Humans. It's going to be so amazing, so exciting. I cannot wait to see you and have you in our beautiful country and to share this experience with you all. So thanks, Jacquie. And I can't wait to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited too. And I think we have a one-day super special event that we are doing prior to this class too. Now, this is not something I get to do every time I teach. I've just come back from Japan last month. We did it there. I absolutely love these days because they're fun. You will learn so much, and they are just a really rewarding day. So we're doing a session/study day, and that's going to be the day before class. So again, you can contact Christine and she'll give you all the information. But yes, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. Can't wait to see you, Jacquie. And let's get these classes nice and full and beautiful, and it's just going to be amazing.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Christine.
Thanks, Jacquie.
Bye.
Take care.
All the best.
Bye.